Hello, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Welcome to Excel Tribe. So today I decided to make a video testing the speed of 5 different methods to look up a value in Excel. So these 5 methods are, the first one is INDEX-MATCH, and it's actually 2 formulas indented, so index formula and match formula. The second lookup method is the traditional VLOOKUP. It's I think the most famous one. The third one is XLOOKUP. It's the little newcomer, although it was already introduced in 2019, I believe, by Microsoft. So it's already 5 years old. And the last 2 are VBA methods. If you are not familiar with VBA, don't worry too much. I will cover that later down the road. It's just really to test the speed and compare the speed of VBA with the formulas. So let's check the table, the data, where I'm performing the lookups. It's quite a big table because it's close to 500,000 rows. Regarding the columns, it's dummy data, by the way. So you have last name, first name, client code, address, zip, city, and phone number. And the lookups I will perform are based on this column, the client code. It's a unique code, so each row has a different client code. So I will perform the lookup on this column, and I will retrieve the phone number here. As you can see, sometimes the phone number is empty, and well, I'll save that for a little bit later in the video. So now let's look at the test itself. So I will perform with each method 5,000 lookups, and I will record in VBA the time it took to perform these 5,000 lookups with each method. So let's start. Let's run the test. So with INDEX-MATCH first. Okay, test completed. It took roughly 1 second. Let's do the same thing with VLOOKUP now. 1.22 seconds. XLOOKUP, the little newcomer. 1.53, okay, slightly slower than the other twos. Now the VBA Collection. Wow, instantaneous, 2/200ths of a second. And the VBA Dictionary. Okay, slightly slower, which is a surprise to me, but maybe it depends on the method we use to create the dictionary. Let's not go into that in this video. It's really just to get a rough idea of the performance. Okay, so what are the conclusions as far as I can tell? So maybe let me start with an anecdote. When I started building Excel tools in 2004, so 20 years ago, roughly, VLOOKUP was considered as the layman way of performing lookups. It was like the standard, everyone used it. But if you were proficient in Excel, you were supposed to use INDEX-MATCH for 2 reasons. The first one was that it's more flexible, which is true. I won't cover that in this video, but it's indeed a more flexible way of performing lookups using index and match. And the second reason was that it was supposed to be faster. And I never actually tested it until today. And it seems that it was not true. Actually, VLOOKUP is just as fast as INDEX-MATCH. So it's a little bit of a surprise. And the second conclusion is if you are used to VLOOKUP, then just use it. It's fast. It's also a very short way of doing a lookup. You see, it's very not complex at all. While INDEX-MATCH is a little bit more cumbersome because you have 2 formulas indented, so it's a little bit slower to write. And XLOOKUP is also a little bit more complex as a formula than VLOOKUP, but it's also much more flexible and it's simpler in my opinion than INDEX-MATCH. So let's look at the results from a visual point of view. So yes, pretty clear. XLOOKUP slightly slower, INDEX-MATCH and VLOOKUP very similar, and VBA is super fast. And When I started building Excel tools in 2004, and for a few years I was using formulas, and the more and more I was getting proficient at building these tools, the more I used collections, VBA collections. They are super fast. Retrieval time is almost instantaneous. VBA collections are a great tool. One precision though. Here I'm only measuring, the retrieval time, but there's also what we call, you have to load the collection in VBA, and this can take up some time. But once it's loaded in memory, if it's loaded in what we call a global variable, then you can use the collection over and over again, and the retrieval time is super fast. So here, what I'm measuring is really just the retrieval time, not the loading time. That's for those that are familiar with VBA. So I hope you found this video useful, and yeah, keep using VLOOKUP if you're familiar with it. Otherwise, as for me, I use now mostly XLOOKUP. Seemingly it's a little bit slower, but not by much, and it's super flexible and still very easy to use, I think, not as complex as INDEX-MATCH. Okay, thank you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.